Alright, so Alicia wants to buy a video game that costs $80. She has saved 25% of the money needed to purchase the game. How much money does Alicia have? So the total cost of the game is $80, and she's already saved 25%. Well, as soon as I see my percent, I'm going to automatically start my proportion puzzle pieces and make one of my denominators 100. It gave us a percent, so 25%. How much money does Alicia have? So she saved 25%, and we're looking for a part or a whole. Let's look at this again. Alicia wants to buy a video game that costs $80. Do you think that $80 represents a part of the cost or the whole thing? If you guess the whole thing, you are correct. So we know that the total goes on the bottom. And we're trying to figure out what this piece is, that part is. So let's go ahead and multiply and then divide. So in our calculators, 25 times 180 gave us 4,500, and then we divide by 100. I love dividing by 100 because we can just cancel the zeros. That is 45. Alright, 2. A candidate is running for mayor. A candidate is running for mayor received 25% of the votes. The candidate received 12,000 votes. How many people voted? So a candidate is running for mayor, and I just want you all to know, I did not write this. I'm sorry about all the bad grammar. A candidate that is running for mayor received 25%. So there's that percent again. I'm going to fill in my percent. I already know, it's like clockwork now. Second nature. The candidate received 12,000 votes. So if the candidate received 25%, and that was 12,000, does that mean that's a part or a whole? Again, if the candidate received 25%, which is not 100, not the whole thing, and this is what the 25% is equal to, would that represent the part or the whole, the total? You guessed it, the part. And when we read about how many people voted, that is talking about total people voted. So let's go ahead and do our thing. 12,000 times 100. Ooh, what number is this? Let's write this down. I have a hard time reading without the... Sorry, I like to add in the zeros later. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So every 3 zeros we put in a... Alright, now I can read that number. 1,200,000. Okay? So, but we need to divide that by the lonely number. You guys, I always mess up this calculator. And they were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros divided by 25. And that gave us 48,000. So there were a total of 48,000 voters. And 12,000 of those voters voted for this candidate. Let's look at number 19. A lamp has a height of 36 inches. About how many centimeters tall is the lamp? 1 inch is about 2.5 centimeters. So we're comparing centimeters and inches. So that can be set up as a ratio. Centimeters and inches. And it's always going to tell you what the conversion rate is. So for every inch, there are 2.5. So I'm going to fill this in. 1 inch means 2.5 centimeters. But if we were to set up a proportion to figure out how many centimeters 36 inches is, it would look like this. Have you noticed that everything is like, we use the same process using a proportion? Alright, so we can do a couple of things. You can scale up. 1 times 36 will give you 36, so 2.5 times 36 will give you a number. I'm going to do the safe way, and that's the cross multiply and divide. So in my calculator, I know that 2 and 5/10, 2.5 times 36 gave me 90. Oh, and then we're going to do 90 divided by 1, which is going to be 90. 90 what? Oops, can't see that. Well, this is about centimeters. So 90 centimeters is our answer. Let's look at number 20. A restaurant makes about 30 gallons of tea each day. How many liters of tea does the restaurant make each day? 1 gallon equals 3 8/10 liters. So again, here's a relationship between gallon and liters that I can easily write as a ratio. So for every, I'm going to put the 1 on the bottom. It's just easier for me to read gallons and liters. And for every gallon, 1 gallon, that is the same thing as 3 8/10 liters. Now, the question is saying, what happens if you have 30 gallons? 30 gallons. And we put the gallons on the bottom because they're on the bottom here. So again, you can scale up. I like this. I want to scale this one. So from 1 gallon to 30 gallons, I multiplied by 30. So that means I have to multiply 3 8/10 by 30. So 3 8/10 times 30 gives us 114 liters. Now, you can also cross multiply and divide. So let's do it. 3 8/10 times 30 gives us 114, and then we divide by 1, which would give us the same answer, 114. Alright. Create a double number line to represent the following situation. I'm actually not going to show you how to do this because you, actually, let's do it. I'll do it. Alright, so I'll do it on the next card. We're going to do the same situation. And we're talking about, so here's my number line. And we're talking about gallons and liters. And we know that for 1 gallon, that means we have 3 8/10 liters. Now, you could do this a couple of ways. One simple way that you could do this is by realizing that you can scale up. Well, let's do 10. Well, if this is 1, then what about for 10 gallons? Well, to get from 1 to 10, I just multiplied. So it's multiplied by 10. And let's see what it gets us. 3 8/10 times 10 gave us 38. So if I know that 10 is 38, I know that another 10, which would be 20, is going to give me another 38. So let's add another 38, and that gives us 76. I also know that another 10 means I'm going to add another 38. So I'm going to add 38. And that gave us 114. One thing you could have done is started all the way from 1. You could have said, well, if I'm trying to get to 30, I can just multiply by 30. and you would have gotten the same result. All right, let's take a look at number, I guess this is supposed to be, oh, I messed you up. Create a double number line to represent the following situation. I did not read. Well, I just told you a different way, showed you a different way of how to use this. All right, let's look at this one. 25% of 400 is 100. What is 75% of 100? Use a double number line. So we're going to use our numbers up here for this line, and let's make this our percent. So all the numbers on the upper line are going to represent regular numbers, and the numbers on the second number line will represent percent. So we know that from here, this is 0%, all the way to here, that's 100%. 25% of 400. So 400 is our total. And we know that 25% of this, so if we split this up into fourths, 1, 2, 3, 4, this will be 25%. And so let's go straight up. This number right here is going to be 100. But the question is asking, what is 75%? 75% of 400. So let's mark 75% on our number line for percent. So if this is 25, this has to be 50, then this is 75%. So we're looking for this piece. So let's think about quarters. What can I do to this 25 to get to 75? Well, 75 is just 3 quarters. I'm multiplying this by 3. 25 times 3 gave me 75. So if I do 100, because the 25 is in a relationship with the 100, if I do 100 times 3, that'll give me 300. And that gives me the 75% of 400.